Let's take a moment and let's look at Activity Builder inside of Amplify Classroom. Activity Builder to me has always been this sandbox where I could create and build anything I want for students to have this amazing experience no matter what I was teaching, no matter what I was presenting, no matter what I was doing. And so I'm going to take a moment and just show you how to get started if you're wanting to create your own content. So let's go over here to the left. So from our homepage at Amplify Classroom, it really doesn't matter what screen you're on. You notice you'll have this sidebar over here. One of them over here is called My Stuff. And My Stuff is where you create your custom things. It's where you have your custom collections. Anything that you want to preserve and keep for your own, you can have come over here into My Stuff. So I'm going to click on it. And notice up here at the very top is our custom activities. That is where you can start building and creating your own things inside of Amplify Classroom. If I click on custom activities, you'll see some things that I've played with and built in the past, but here's what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a new activity. This thing up here allows me to build whatever I want to, kind of from a fresh canvas, so to speak. And so I'll click create a new activity. I can give it a name, so whatever I want to name it. And so I'm just gonna call this test because we're just testing things out. We're just trying some things out here. I can give it a description. Let's just call this intro. And then I can choose the activity style. One of the things that is new and one of the improvements we have made is that depending on the age of the student, you can change the style. So if it's for an earlier grade student, the buttons are going to be bigger, the font will be bigger, those types of things. So it's more age appropriate, but I'm just going to leave it with a default style for right now, really intended for upper middle all the way up through high school students as you go. So I'm going to create a new activity. It's called test up there. It's great. I'm going to leave it open so I can share it with anybody else. If I wanted to keep it private, I could, but I'm just going to hit create new activity. And this actually drops me into this kind of open space where I have all the tools that I want to use. And you'll notice down here on the sidebar, you'll see the different types of things you can place. You'll see a note, a free response, math response. So this is an open type response. This is if it's a numeric response. You'll see multiple choice. Note is if you want to leave students a message. There's check boxes, ordered lists, all sorts of other fun things. Our graphing tool, the Desmos graphing tool, which is amazing. The Desmos geometry tool, a sketch place, even media. If you want to drop in movies or video clips or just pictures, you can do that. You've got a table, you've got an action button. If you want to tie some things up with a computation layer, you can do that with an action button or even Polypad. And if you haven't played with Polypad, I suggest you do. It's every math manipulative you possibly could want. And there's also a few full screen options. So these would take up the entire screen. So a full graphing calculator, if you want students to really use the graphing calculator there. There's marble slides, which is one of our kind of game-like experiences you can do inside of a graph. There's a bunch of these that are pre-built that you can check out. There's also card sorts. I know that I've loved using card sorts in my past, but if you can do it now digitally where it actually checks itself and those types of things, it's amazing. There's our challenge creator, which if you haven't checked that out, this is an opportunity for students to create their own types of problems. And then finally, Polygraph down there. Now, in Polygraph, if you haven't played that one too, it is a kind of a guess who game where students really talk to each other digitally to develop academic vocabulary. But I'm not going to do any of that. We're not going to get into the heavy stuff. This is really just showing you how to get started. And so I'm just going to maybe walk through a couple really simple screens here just to kind of whet the appetite to show you what you can build and make. So the first thing is let's just build a really simple screen. Let's put a message for students. Let's give them maybe a math problem for them to do, and then an opportunity for them to respond. So I'm going to take a note. I'm going to drag that over. With Note, this is where I can write whatever I want. I can copy and paste stuff into it, whatever I choose to do. And inside that note, I'm just going to put, I don't know, let's keep it really simple. What is, and then I can change this to math type, 2 plus 2, question mark. What is 2 plus 2? Obviously we could write this a lot better, but just for simplicity's sake, let's put that in there. So now we have a question. Let's give students the opportunity to respond. I can do a math response where they'll type in the value, but I'm just going to do multiple choice here. And notice I have the option to put it beside it, below it, wherever I want to. I can kind of move these pieces around, but let's just do a side-by-side look for right now. Let's give some students some options here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, 5. There's 5 options there. I believe the last time I checked, 2 plus 2 is actually 4. So we're going to mark that as the correct answer by selecting it here. And then if I want to, there's 2 checkboxes here. I can have students explain their answer. So ask them after they select what is their answer, and I can also allow them to communicate to each other by showing each other students' responses. If I don't want students to see other students' responses, I can turn that off. But I'm going to leave that. I'm going to allow students to put their answer and tell me why, and then not allow them to see other students' responses yet. I will do that through the course of instruction. And then when I'm ready, I actually do this. Let's do this. Let's add a title to it too, like question 1 or screen 1, whatever we want it to be up here at the top. So there we go. We've got question 1. What is 2 plus 2? It's multiple choice. Students are going to explain themselves. And if I hit preview, here's what it looks like. It doesn't look the greatest. Obviously, I can make it better in lots of ways. In fact, after seeing it, maybe I do want to put this over here. You can change your mind. Like I said, it's a blank canvas. And there we go. What is 2 plus 2? Here's my multiple choice. When students select it, notice they will explain their thinking down here and give a response. So I love it. It's beautiful. Really simple multiple choice question that you can build in, even with the opportunity for students to explain their thinking. And you'll notice even I'll get some correctness up here because I marked the correct answer for 4 there. Okay, so there's your first screen. This just for funsies, let's just build one more, and then I'm going to turn it back over to you to hopefully go off and create your own things. So let's add one more screen here. I said there was a ton of other stuff. I always love thinking about multiple representations in the math classroom. So I'm going to put a graph in here. Beautiful. I'm going to put a table. Amazing. And then I'm going to put in, I don't know, a math response. So notice, I love this. I've got a graph, I've got a table, I've got a math response, and I'm going to help the students out a little bit here. I can create this a couple different ways, but I'm going to put X and Y so that they know to put in their X and Y values. In fact, I'm going to put a little note up here, like put some X and Y values from the graph in the table. Beautiful, I like it. Let's come over here to the graph and let's put in an equation for them to see. So I'm going to come to the graph. When I click on it, it's going to open up the Desmos graphing calculator. Let's put in something like y equals 2x plus 1. Amazing. We've got our graph here. Beautiful. So I've got my graph. I've got some instructions. I've got a table. And in fact, let's put a couple more spots. There's more spots for them to put by hitting that plus. And let's do one more thing here. I'm going to drop in one more note below that table and above my math box, and I'm going to put write the equation of the graph. Great, I've got it. Notice everything I have here. I've got a graph, I've got a table, and I've got a place for students to put the equation. And just like before, I can ask students to explain their answer, and I can show 3 classmates' responses to each other. I'm going to turn them both on for funsies. Why not? So there we go. If I hit preview, notice what I've got created over here. I have a graph, I have a table, I have the equation, and when students enter it and put submit, there's an opportunity for them to explain their thinking. So much information that we can just gather and connect here for students in such a short amount of time. Of course, there's ways that I could make this better. I could add more detail to it. If you get into computation later, you can connect the pieces if you want to. I'm going to do one more thing here. I'm going to call this question 2, put another label at the top, and there we go. I've created 2 screens here in just a matter of minutes. And if you watched the video before, you can actually copy and paste those screens over if you wanted to. All sorts of fun things you can do. In fact, I'll show you that while we're here. If I wanted to, I could hit the preview button. I can hit the copy the screen button, and I can make another version of this. Now I've got question 3. And I can just make some changes. Maybe I just want to change the graph. There we go. Beautiful. And now I've created 3 screens in just a matter of a few moments. And when I'm ready, I can hit that publish button right here. And now I've created an activity to use in my classroom. I can assign it to students. I can preview it. I can see the different types of questions that I've just created. I love it. It looks beautiful. And then if you're curious where this will live and where this will exist, I'm going to show this over here. It's all under my stuff. If I go back to my stuff, custom activities, the one that we just built together is up here at the very top. And if I wanted it to, I can add it to any collection I see fit. So hopefully you enjoyed this quick look at building things in Activity Builder and how to get started. Of course, this is just kind of scratching the surface. There's amazing things you can create. Let your imagination go wild with all the different tools that we have there.